Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another set of reactions. Today we have two songs from my executive producer, Gene. They want me to listen to two of these songs from Sasuke Haraguchi. I've never heard of this producer. I don't know what their sound is, but they wanted me to listen to both Medicine and Humaniac, and I don't know either of the songs. I know they're not necessarily related either, but they're short enough that I can do them both in the same video, so that's what I'll be doing today. I'm going to be doing my format of doing a song reaction, talking about that song, listening to the next song, and then talking about that one, and keeping them separate. So if you want to hear my thoughts on one song and not the other, you can just kind of find it in the timeline. You'll be able to tell when I'm reacting to it, and then, of course, my discussion afterwards. So if you want to do that, you can, but if you want to hear both, then I suppose I should get started. So without further ado, let's go! I was also told to read the lyrics in addition, because I do understand some Japanese, but apparently they're complex. So, well, having it written down is kind of nice. I can't tell if it's Teto's voice bank or me not being able to understand most of it. The toe tapping. Nope, just weird lyrics. Okay, I'll have to read them. Kind of vibing with the song though. I'm actually really liking that like bit crushed feeling in the mix. That can sometimes be overbearing, but they're doing a really good job here. Ooh, that was weird.
Drop it.
What? It's a really fun, creative production. I wish I knew what they were talking about. There it is. God. Yeah, it feels like it could have gone on for another like 2 minutes. All right, so I did look up the lyrics, I read through them, and I still couldn't make much sense out of what was being talked about. To me, it almost felt like chunks of a meaning were just kind of taped and glued together into whatever the lyrics for this song ended up being. And I don't know if there's a true intent behind that, or if the lack of intent is the intent. Sometimes people do that, like they'll make a whole song, they'll write a song specifically to be extremely metaphorical and nonsensical to make that kind of the goal. You know, at the end of the day, maybe the point is that we don't understand. So if we look at it in that way, maybe there's something to be said about that. Maybe there's something related to medicine and the lack of clarity on that field that's confusing a lot of people, and therefore that's the message here. Maybe there's just ambiguity around that is the whole point. I don't think it's trying to be political in its messaging or anything like that, like trying to be like, man, yeah, the big pharma's out to get us or any shit like that. I think it's more like they're just trying to make sense of what can be perceived as nonsense to a lot of people. A lot of the gobbledygook that we get told when we're in a doctor's office and we don't know because we didn't go through the training. So it feels like a lot of that is just lost in translation truly. And I don't know if it's lost in translation because the lyrics are so obscure in their own language that it doesn't translate well to English, or if they're supposed to be obscure in every language because there really isn't a clarity between any language in this field. It is very complex and very hard to understand. If I look at the lyrics in a little bit more of a directly metaphorical sense, like, and I try to make a point of this character, the person singing the song, maybe they are trying to make sense, but they're almost frustrated that you don't understand. You know, like maybe that's the relationship there. It's not that you don't understand, it's that they keep trying, and that constant churn of attempted try guys is kind of driving them nuts, and as a result, you. So there's like almost psychological breaks in the song, and maybe that's where like that one bit where it just had a bunch of samples in there was supposed to signify kind of like a spur of the moment, just like frustration, like son of a bitch. And I think we all have those moments when we're trying to explain something that we like to somebody else who doesn't know much about it, and you're trying to be as precise yet concise and effective as you can be, and they just don't get it, and it's just frustrating. So maybe that's the point of these lyrics. And now I can definitely see why Gene wanted me to listen to this and then read the lyrics, because there is no way with some of the phrasing that they chose here, which is a lot of wordplay stuff as well, you need to be very good at the language to be able to pick up on a lot of those. I was reading it kind of literally because that's the way I know how to read and hear Japanese, and the little I do, and I fell apart in like the first couple lines because I'm like, what the hell is that talk? Like, why? Like, it was just so strange. A lot of these heavily metaphorical tracks can easily lose their point even just by leaving the producer's room. You know, like the second they put it out there, they have this big idea in their head and everyone else on earth just doesn't get it. Sometimes that just happens. Maybe that's what happened here. But production-wise, this was actually really good. A really good first exposure to their songs, and now I'm excited to hear what the other song has in store for me. There was just a lot of techniques in here that I was enjoying. That one little break section with all the samples in there was fun, but there was also a bunch of other things in the actual production, like that bit crushing and just kind of throwing in stuff that felt very poppy, yet at the same time, those bit crushed elements really aren't a pop approach. This isn't something that's super marketable, despite the rest of the song sounding relatively poppy and marketable. Like, maybe that's a point of it too. Maybe there's a blend in that metaphor where it's like, this should be easy to understand. This should be what you're expecting to hear, but there's other elements in there that are kind of betraying that expectation, and you're like, whoa, that sounds weird, that's different. And it was almost like this video too, with like the figurine and everything, the way it was moving was not moving the way you were anticipating it to, and things were happening that wouldn't normally happen in a video. So it's like, maybe this whole song and the whole video and everything is supposed to point to that idea of them trying to explain something that should be obvious, but has a bunch of other stuff going on that is just generally confusing. From the lyrics to the production to the video itself, there is a lot of confusion going on here. A lot of non-standard choices are being made. So that's my best guess if I had to assume what the meaning of this song is, but now I'm gonna listen to the other song and see what that one has in store. Hopefully it's a little bit easier to understand off the cuff, but I don't know. I'll have to listen and find out. Okay. Drop it. Starting with a similar style of video. Okay. Okay. Okay, this one's a little bit easier to understand, but still, I'm gonna have to read the lyrics anyway. Again, a lot of things being done production-wise that are different. Okay. Okay. I keep focusing because there's so many things happening, you know? I'm expecting the screams at this point. Okay. Again, similar things. Oh, we're not done yet. Oh, ooh. A little bit of a break here at the end. Hey, yo. Hell yeah. Okay, yeah, like I was saying, definitely similar things going on with the production, but also different in a lot of ways, obviously. Definitely not the same song, just same producer, so you're gonna have some similarities. Okay, so once again, read the lyrics, was trying to work through what the meaning of this song is, and I think this one's a lot more straightforward with its meaning, but I'm also just guessing here, so there could always be some discrepancies in that. Either way, this song with the title of Humaniac, at least that's the way I'm deciding to call it, it's close enough, plus the portmanteau, which is always fun. Anyway, I feel like the message of this song is a little bit kind of like a megalomaniac who's also really in love with the concept of humanity, but like doesn't know where the cap of that is. Like they can't find what will really satisfy them. It's like they're being driven almost insane by their ability to enjoy what humanity as a whole is doing and has, or the things that they are having a hand in with humanity involved. Like they're obsessed with that, the concept of having the choice to be a part of this and other people's lives and wanting to do things, but also literally going so far and not being able to stop and potentially causing people trouble or worse. You know, there's a lot of potentials in this song, and I feel like a lot of it is kind of vague. Again, a lot of metaphor stuff in this one, but it's still a little bit more straightforward than Medicine was. I feel like that's probably the best way I can describe this song, is that it's somebody who's obsessed with humanity to the point of threat. Basically, it's somebody who's effectively gone insane or is actively going insane, and at the same time doesn't necessarily mean harm, potentially. Like, it doesn't feel like this song is like, oh yeah, I am actively trying to cause pain because like it's a fetish or something. It's not like that. It's more like they are so obsessed with the ability to be active in these choices that they are causing trouble or going too far, pushing it way too far, having no idea what a boundary is, and causing those stresses for other people around them, and as a result kind of becoming an undesirable despite their obsession. That happens with a lot of people, especially people who are narcissistic. It's that sort of flavor. That's where like that megalomania was kind of coming into play there. Somebody who's kind of obsessed with power, but also somebody who's obsessed with their own opinion about how things should be done and the people around them, and kind of treating the world like if it were a Barbie house. Like maybe they want a lot of control and they think they know best, so they're starting to get their fingers in pots where it doesn't belong, and they're just struggling with that, but also they don't really seem to comprehend that there is a problem with that. It just seems like they're going nuts. And honestly, that's kind of fun. Weird to say that maybe, but like not a lot of people venture into this specific subject matter as dry as this song was with it. Yeah, there was still metaphorical stuff going on, but like I said, it's a little straightforward with what it's doing. It's kind of making sense in what it's trying to say compared to a lot of other songs like the last one being a lot heavier on the metaphors and kind of leaning into that confusion as more of the point than this one, which is just trying to tell you what they're feeling in the song. And even though that's obviously a character and nobody's actually trying to do this right now, it's still an interesting psychological space to visit and try to decipher what's going on there, because I might entirely be wrong too. That's the other fun part about these. When they're so metaphorical yet at the same time kind of dry, you can never be sure what the real intention is. And I think that psychologically is also super fun to mess with and just try to decipher. So that's where I get a lot of the joy in these videos for myself. I like trying to figure out what the story is behind music, because a lot of songs hide things in the production, be it in the lyrics, which is a lot more direct, or through just the music itself and just the production, because the composition can hide a lot of emotional beats as well. So to me, that's really fun, and that's where I get a lot of the joy of doing these sorts of reactions. So I'm not sure if I'm even close to correct on this one, but the production on this one especially had a lot more things in there that kind of leaned me in that direction, like the constant screams and stuff. That was like a frustration, you know, like putting that out in front, just being very, very forward with that. So you can place that into the concept of, okay, people around them are getting frustrated or they're terrified of this person because they're pushing it so far that it's becoming a threat. But I did already say a lot of why that is, so I'm not going to get into it again. The production for this one, though, similar to the last one, had a lot of unconventional things in it, like a lot of choices that were being done. This one was a little bit more straightforward in the production compared to the last one. This one had a lot more of what I would expect out of like the normal production standard to have, but those choices of sound design, like the screams and a lot of like these songs feel like they're crushed really close to the center. Like despite everything that's happening, there's not a lot of room in them. There's not a lot of stereo room being made. It's just all kind of condensed in the center, which makes it feel and sound a lot more hectic and a lot more busy. So that's probably a part of it as well. It's very likely that's an intentional decision to make everything sound a little bit more confusing to the listener and make it harder to decipher, let alone all the stuff going on with the vocals. The sound itself is kind of oppressing and you're not sure where the limit is or how to get out of it. It's claustrophobic to an extent. So psychologically that plays in just as much as the lyrics probably do. But I've yapped about these enough, so thank you all so very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, if you think I'm right or wrong, if you know if I'm right or wrong, let me know in the comments below, because I love reading like lore dumps and such. So if there is like a greater picture to this, like the whole album these are from might have some overarching storyline, there might be a bunch of stuff I'm missing, I'm not entirely sure, but let me know if you know, or if you want me to get to something else, by all means leave it down there as well. Or if you want to guarantee something, much like Gene did for these ones, you can always go to my Patreon or my YouTube memberships where you can guarantee that I listen to something. There's a tier that will force me to listen to whatever you want. It doesn't matter who it's by, what it's from, if it's good or it's bad, that doesn't matter. That's why it's a guarantee. But if you don't want to do any of that and you just want to follow me and support me for more stuff coming in the future, you know how to do all that, and I will see all of you in the next video. Goodbye!